Oh. Oh. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today is my movie review of Mortal Kombat, the brand new film from Warner Brothers, 2021's Mortal Kombat. A very long awaited video game adaptation. Obviously the last one we had was Scorpion's Revenge from 2018, but that was an animated feature. So when you're talking about live action adaptation of Mortal Kombat, it's been pretty much a very long time coming, 22 years around that time, for a live action Mortal Kombat movie. So when there was hints of this movie coming out, and it was like, oh, we're gonna go full on rated R, it's gonna have all the gore and the blood that you want, I was hyped. And when I heard that it had James Wynell as producer, I was even more hyped, because he's behind the Saw franchise. He understands, you know, the visceral kind of look of that kind of universe, and it sounded really decent to me. I was like really hyped. Then it went quiet for ages, like as if it was in development hell almost. And then it just propped up at the beginning of the year. Oh yeah, that Mortal Kombat film is coming out this year, and we've got the cast is all there, the plot point is kind of pretty much there, and then we got a trailer, and the trailer was epic. I was so hyped for this movie when the trailer came out. It looked so good, right? So yesterday I finally got around to watching Mortal Kombat. It finally dropped. So shall we get into my review? I want to kick off with the positives.
Get over here!
So the positives for this movie. I think this movie has really gone full on with the hard R. It is super gory, it is super violent, and when those moments happen, I literally cheered from my chair. I was like, yes! It is very wonderful in that regard. If you're looking for fatalities, gory as fuck fatalities, it delivers that. It delivers that all over the shop. It's fantastic. I feel that we get a really good introduction to all the characters, and they all have a fairly decent screen time for the most part of the film, and I feel you kind of get to know the characters rather well in this movie, which is good. Other positives: Scorpion and Sub-Zero are absolutely fucking awesome. They've understood these characters so well in this movie, and they are probably the stars of the show for me in terms of just getting their characters right. Very great costume design for both of them. The performances are bang on. Sub-Zero is absolutely scary as hell. He is really intimidating in this film, and I think he is probably he's not the big bad in the movie, but he is the main proper, when it comes to a villain, he is the main focus when it comes to the villain side of things in this movie. Great performance all round, I think, when it comes to Scorpion and Sub-Zero. It's quite crazy when you think about, they in the 95 movie, they didn't really have any development at all. They're all just Shang Tsung's kind of lackeys. He's kind of like henchmen, and they were kind of just there. In this, they really go into the backstory of their kind of rivalry and their characters. We've probably seen the first 7 minutes in the movie that kind of chronicle that, and it's really great to see those characters get the treatment they deserve on the big screen. Another really good character in this film is Kano. Kano is really great character. I forgot the actor who portrays him, but he does an amazing job. Really kind of quirky, funny, and he has some of the most comedic moments in the film. Now, for me, Kano is really good, and he's probably another star of the show as well in terms of just him being a character. He is such a character in this. But when we get to negatives, I will talk about other things about the comedy in general. But yeah, I think the overall look of this film looks good. Like I said, costume design is fantastic. Better than my costume design, dressing gown and bloody headband. I tell you that now. But yeah, costume design's amazing. I think the soundtrack is good. It serves the film well, I think. And I feel The visual effects in this film are great as well. The ice effects from Sub-Zero are pretty much next level. You've seen some of it in the trailers. It's really, really, really decent, and I'm pretty much really happy with the overall visual effects in the film. So yeah, I think it's pretty much a really fun movie. Loads of gore, really good costume design. Scorpion and Sub-Zero are very, very well put into the movie, really well realised, are very well faithful to the characters of themselves. And Kano is a very, very fun character that is like the comedic effect in the film. So yeah, should we get on to the negatives?
Get over here!
Now, negatives for me, they don't bring the film to a halt in particular for me. These negatives, they're just little nitpicks that I feel perhaps a sequel could really embellish on a bit more. So a lot of people, you probably do know that don't expect a tournament in this film. This film is pretty much a kind of gather the team together kind of movie, and more of a kind of like, let's train our champions kind of movie. And it is more of a setup movie. For a standalone film to be a setup for what's to come next, I feel it may hurt this film if it stands on its own. I still think it's a fun time, but I feel being a setup movie does really hurt it. And moving from that onto something related, the narrative. The narrative is fairly bare bones in this movie. It's serviceable. It gets you to A to B fairly quickly. But I feel that there could have been a lot more fleshed out lore in this. There's not much. The characters, they refer to the elder gods and stuff like that, but they only just pretty much mention them in passing. There isn't any embellishment on who they are. And even like I said, there's not a tournament in this film, but there is constant mention of Mortal Kombat, but they never really go into detail of when that is, why they're doing it. They explain that Shang Tsung has won 9 consecutive Mortal Kombats, and if he wins the 10th one, he'll be able to take over Earth. But that's all the real backstory you have about this tournament. There's not really much else really. They mention about them, throughout culture. There's been mentions of it, but there's very little in terms of basically lore and exposition. I'm thankful that there's no like typical exposition character, which is good. But I feel for a film that has so much lore in the video games, to not basically dig up some of that lore and really kind of present it properly may hurt this film. And I'm hoping a sequel really does flesh out a lot more of this world and a lot more of what is going on between the Outworld and the Earth realm and the whole Mortal Kombat mythos. I hope they go into more depth with that, because I feel the basically shoestring thread of a plot here kind of hurts this film, and I feel that it needs a sequel, or maybe multiple sequels, to really kind of blossom this into a full-fledged story particularly. But from what I've heard, the actors have signed on to 3 sequels. So hopefully this does well and we get a really good sequel. On my mixed category,
Get over here!
On my mixed category, I have 2 things to mention. This film is primarily, you can tell straight away, it's primarily for the fans. So if you have no idea about Mortal Kombat, the video games, or anything about the characters, if you go into this film blind, you might find yourself getting lost a little bit when it concerns who these people are, why they're doing it, etc, etc. It doesn't explain things all too well, like I mentioned, when it concerns the plot and the lore. So you might find yourself a bit lost, but I think there's enough there to carry you through. So hopefully that will help you. Some of the comedy didn't land for me, unfortunately. Some of it did, like a lot of Kano stuff is quite funny, but some of it wasn't that funny. And I found some moments that were meant to be serious made me laugh. So it's a bit of a mixed bag when it concerns its comedic timing and comedic moments. Also, some of the acting can be fairly wooden. I think the Cole character, the point of view character that we have, I don't think the actor they cast is very good he's okay in places, but really bad in mostly others. He maybe wasn't the right casting decision, in my opinion. So overall, should you watch this movie? If you're a diehard Mortal Kombat fan, it is a no-brainer. You've probably seen it already. But if you're a pretty much blind movie fan that wants to go and see a action-packed, violent as all hell, movie about people fighting each other, then I think you may find some enjoyment in this. It is pretty much a simple team up Hollywood, get the team together and fight movie that I think you may enjoy. I would give it, if I would really give number scores, which I really don't, I'd give it a strong 7. I think it's fun. I think it's decent. It's definitely a film I'll be going back to, for sure, especially if a sequel is down the line, definitely. But I think for people that are not familiar with the Mortal Kombat universe and the Mortal Kombat games, I think this film has a lot of hurdles in place for people to really kind of get into it. And I think the story is a big issue when it concerns people that are not familiar, because the story is very, very, very thin, and I feel that they need to embellish on the story and flesh it out more in any kind of sequels. And I think this film could really do well as a 3-part story, as a trilogy, and really kind of flesh out all the lore, all the kind of background stuff, Outworld, all these kind of things, and really flesh it out. As it stands, this film pretty much has a bare bones story, like I said. So overall, I think it's a really enjoyable movie. I had good time with it, but I've seen all these 9 out of 10s, amazing. I don't think it's nowhere near amazing. I think it's a good time, a bloody, gory good time. And if you've got that added niche where you are a Mortal Kombat fan, I think you may enjoy it more than the average moviegoer, and that's where I am. I enjoyed it for what it was, and I enjoyed it for being finally to be a really faithful Mortal Kombat movie with blood and gore and just all of that stuff. But the bottom line is, I think it depends what side of the gamut are you. Are you a Mortal Kombat fan, or are you not a Mortal Kombat fan? Because I think that those two things are the make or break for this film. And I think I can't really definitively say you will love this, because it all depends on what side you stand on when it concerns Mortal Kombat as a property. So yeah, anyway, as a Mortal Kombat fan, I would recommend it. I think it's dumb, bloody fun, and I think even if you're just looking for that martial arts, violent martial arts film, just to lose yourself in for an hour and a half, I think you might find some fun in this, even if you may not know what's going on. Anyway, as always, if you like what you see on this channel, maybe just consider becoming a subscriber, Rono, and maybe subscribe. Hit the like button, as always, for the YouTube algorithm, because it's the best way for not having Shang Tsung suck out your soul, because he answers to me, of course. So be that aware and hit that like button. As always, people, I have been Jason, and I'm probably going to rewatch Mortal Kombat, because I actually really enjoyed it. So yeah, see you later.